So, guys, today we will discuss about how this woman, Anna Casperian, whatever the heck her name is, she loses it when after Marco Rubio calls out radical Islam and talks about their ambitions and the dangers of radical Islam. She goes on to basically say that why are we talking about radical Islam? Let's all focus on Israel, and she makes up a bunch of lies, and I'm here to address her bullshit and to expose her. So let's get into it.
The notion that somehow radical Islam would be comfortable with simply controlling some province in Iraq or Syria is just not borne out by history. Radical Islam has shown that their desire is not simply to occupy one part of the world and be happy with their own little caliphate. They want to expand. It's revolutionary in its nature. It seeks to expand and control more territories and more people.
Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, is making that argument about radical Islam. As we are all witnessing, Israel annexed land from Syria, from Gaza, from the West Bank, Lebanon. What is he even talking about?
So, you see, once again, she deflects from the real problem to go in to make up a bunch of lies about Israel. So first of all, Israel went inside of Syria because there was the zones where it's supposed to be military-free zones, and al-Julani, he was sending his forces there, and Israel took control of it in order to secure its borders. Israel did not annex it. Another lie. Israel went inside of Lebanon. Israel did not annex it or take any land. They went inside because Hezbollah since October 8th was shooting mass rockets into Israel, right? And last I remember is that Gaza has not been annexed, right? Gaza is its own place. Israel has left in 2005. So Israel has not annexed any lands, but now she's trying to make up a bunch of lies in order to shift the blame all on Israel in the name of let's not talk about Islam. As you guys see, right, Marco Rubio kept on saying radical Islam, but see, she makes it a problem that, oh, we can't talk about Islam. But there's a lot to it, so let's continue.
Guys, see, this is how the United States government, which is occupied by the Israeli government, works.
You see, once again, imagine American government, you see, is occupied by Israel. You see what I'm saying? I can't understand how people listen to them, right? She is blatantly lying to our face. She's saying that Israel, how do you occupy another country without, like, these people don't know how to use words. All they're doing is trying to say that since Israel is allies with America, is that Israel controls America. So these people are rage baiting us into supporting their terrorism. And look how angry she is that Marco Rubio spoke about radical Islam. She's trying to shift the focus. No, let's not talk about radical Islam. Let's focus on Israel. Let's make up a bunch of lies that Israel has intentions of fucking annexing all these lands. It's pretty insane. She's not addressing why Israel went into those. She's trying to say that Israel went and attacked those regions because they wanted to grab the land, which is a bunch of lies. But let's continue.
Need the squirrel to distract you from the actual bad actor here. And of course, the punching bag that
actually, she's the one that is projecting, because that's exactly what she's doing here. She doesn't want us to talk about radical Islam. She wants us to continue to talk about Israel while she makes up a bunch of lies. That's what we should focus on. Like, let's not focus on radical Islam. Let's all just shift the focus to Israel, right? She's projecting.
United States have historically funded and propped up is radical Islamists. Now, what do I mean when I say we prop up and fund? Oh, I'm gonna take you for a little ride. Let's take you for a little ride. Because there were extremists in the White House not too long ago. Who am I talking about? This guy. His name used to be Mohammed al-Jalani, and there used to be a $10 million bounty on his head by the United States because he was an al-Qaeda terrorist who was trying to kill our soldiers in Iraq. But if I remember correctly, we were not only arming him, and his group in Syria in an effort to oust Bashar al-Assad, we're now totally helping him launder his reputation as if he wasn't one of the extremists who was trying to kill Americans in Iraq.
Okay, this is perfect. So first of all, she doesn't know anything about politics. So right now, so this is the two-tier response I'm going to give. A is that right now he is the ruler of Syria, right? So it's better for America to be nicer to him instead of making him run back to Iran and to Russia, right? So they have to, in a sense, if he wants to reform, Trump will give him a chance to reform. Instead of, if Trump just rejects him, he's going to go run to our enemy. That's A. And number two is, right, she's working for the Young Turks, which are the Turkish people. How come she's not talking about how it was Turkey that funded al-Julani, right? The Big Daddy. But she doesn't want to speak about Turkey because that is, right, her boss is Turkish. She's literally a Armenian woman, right, that works for a company named Young Turks. The very same people that G-sided her people, all right? And the very same people that G-sided her people is actually responsible for bringing Julani into power. Yeah, she doesn't want to talk about that. She wants to focus on how, right? She wants to focus on how America is basically giving him a chance to reform. Once again, shifting the blame always to America and to Israel. And I wonder why she's doing that. Because she doesn't want us to talk about the real problem. She don't want us to talk about Turkey that put Julani into power. She doesn't want us to talk about radical Islam. Let's just blame everything on Israel. Let's make up lies on Israel. Let's focus on that. Don't focus on Turkey, right? Don't focus on radical Islam. It all makes sense now, doesn't it?
It's incredible. Now, al-Shara is the new leader of Syria, and Trump sure does love his extremists. Take a look. How did you find the Syrian president?
Right. I think very good. Young, attractive guy, tough guy. You know, strong pass, very strong pass fighter.
Is that wordy?
But he's got a real shot at pulling it together.
Strong, attractive guy. Man, like Trump is such a gooner. Like he, even when he sees a hot guy in his mind, I don't think al-Shara, no, not for me. It's for other people. For Trump, apparently. Can't help himself from commenting on his.
Once again, shifting the blame, right? Now, see, this is the problem with these people. Let's not talk about, right? Let's not talk about all of the other, like, radical Islam. Like, why is it that as soon as we bring up radical Islam, they have to try to put America into it? Is America and Israel responsible for Boko Haram, for the Sudan, in Congo, all of these Islamists going on around the world? Why can't we talk about that? Why does everything have to be blamed on America or Israel? What's her agenda?
His good looks. I know that we're supposed to just buy that he's a moderate now. I mean, it was all about killing American soldiers not too long ago. And his group of terrorists in Syria are still killing various ethnic groups and, you know, people like the Alawites, Druze, Christians. But let's just pretend like we're all good now.
You know, while we were talking about what he was doing in Syria, she was fucking quiet. And I don't see her once again. Why isn't Turkey mentioned into this? Because at that moment, America was not allies with this dude, right? America was trying to wheel him in while it was Erdogan, right? The boss, her boss is Turkish. She cannot talk about Turkish people, right? But we see now they want to shift all of the blames to America because America's trying to wheel him in and not go to the enemies.
Because he's willing to bow his head. He's not friends with Iran. That's the most important thing, right? That he's not an ally of Iran like Bashar al-Assad was. So yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, maybe he did try to kill American soldiers and he was a terrorist with Al-Qaeda. But he's nicer to Israel, so that's okay. As Jake Sullivan said,
Have you guys realized, like, once again, they only want to talk about the radical Islam that they could blame America and Israel. This is all a deflection from the whole point. Do you see how she's trying to take it away? And she's going to mention that actually, that even though she should be focusing on talking about radical Islam, she won't do it. She's going to continue to blame Israel and America for radical Islam. That's her focus and that's her intentions. And that's why we're here, to expose her fucking intentions.
Said as Al Qaeda was being armed by the United States in Syria, Al Qaeda is not our enemy. They're our allies in Syria. It's disgusting. Now, even little Marco couldn't pass up a photo opportunity with the reformed terrorist. That's the video you're watching right now. Wow. Isn't Marco Rubio standing next to a guy that I should be super scared of? I mean, I thought radical Islamic extremists are what we should all worry about. Why were they in the White House? And by the way, that's not it. So,
I mean, you see, she's giving her around this bullshit. Like, just because he was there does not mean the radical Islam is not an issue. Like I said, Trump is trying to wheel him in. And once again, man, like, what's wrong with these people? Like, why do these people are so hell-bent on protecting the very same Islam as this girl is an Armenian girl? You guys have no clue how many of her Armenian family members were unalived by these very same Islamists that have backed up Giuliani, right? But for some reason, when America wants to play nice with them, it's all America's fault. Let's blame it all on America. Let's not talk about my boss's country.
So I want to be very, very clear about something. We do have a history of arming all sorts of terrorist groups when it's convenient for us or when it's convenient for our ally Israel. And then when they're no longer convenient, we fearmonger about them to the United States, to the American people. And it's a great distraction from what Israel's up to in the Middle East. Because if you want to talk about empire building, if you want to talk about stealing land, right now, at this moment, Israel is doing it, and they're doing it with our money and our weapons.
First of all, you see, once again, she keeps on saying Israel is stealing land. What land has Israel stole? Why don't she talk about Turkey, the fact that Turkey's taking chunks of Syria? What's named Turkey wants a two-state solution with Cyprus. Turkey, her boss Erdogan, just 6 months ago went around saying that he had a dream that God gave him the power to reclaim the Ottoman Empire as it used to be in the days of old. So the only ones that have, so Turkey has intentions of expanding. Israel, well, doesn't. Just because Israel goes into a place and stops the people from attacking Israel does not mean that their intention is to expand their borders, which is straight up lies. Once again, let's not talk about the real Islamists. Let's talk about Israel and make up lies.
But they don't want us to talk about that. Okay, so I'll talk about Muslim extremists. That's okay. If they want me to do that, I'll do that. So why don't we talk about the other Muslim extremist that was in the White House just recently? And that's the butcher, better known as Mohammed bin Salman, the very man who ordered the assassination and dismemberment of US resident and Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018. He recently visited the White House, and man, Trump really gets fired up if his favorite terrorist is being asked difficult questions from.
This is insane. Did you just hear that? She just called Mohammed bin Salman a terrorist and a radical Muslim, a leader of a fucking country, right? She's calling him a terrorist. She does, once again, she does not want to talk about real terrorists. The reason why she's calling Mohammed bin Salman a terrorist is because he banned the Muslim Brotherhood, because he is enemies of Iran, which she simps for, right? And Turkey. It's crazy for her to go and call a leader of a country as a radical Islamist, which actually the reason why they call him radical and not good person, the radicals don't like Mohammed bin Salman, is because he's reforming, okay? And now she is trying to spread that blood libel of these radicals onto him. I mean, this is insane, guys. But let's check it out.
From American journalists. Take a look.
Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you?
You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
If you can't quit the
Yeah, don't be mean to the terrorists that we.
You see what's funny is that, once again, she wants to focus on the whole thing on radical Arab. She is calling Mohammed bin Salman radical, but yet Mohammed bin Salman is the most liberal Arabs. I seriously don't understand how she's going to choose the reforming Arab to make a, like, this is the only way they're willing to call people radical is when it benefits them and their narrative. She doesn't want to talk about real Muslim radicals. Okay?
Like here in the United States, because his country has agreed to provide a lot of money to my son-in-law's hedge fund. And I've got my own dealings in Saudi Arabia as well. So the butcher's okay with us. The butcher's okay. Yeah. The US and Israel like to prop up actual extremists and terrorists. So we all have this boogeyman to obsess about, while, you know, the real culprit in empire expansion is Israel. I just want to be very, very clear about that, because I'm sick of the lies and I'm sick of the gaslighting. The militant group in Gaza known as Popular Forces, led by Abu Shabab, has been funded by Israel, is currently being funded and armed by Israel. And
so that's another lie. So first of all, Israel doesn't fund them and Israel doesn't arm them. What Israel doesn't do is take them out. First of all, they deny any relationship with Israel. Okay, they hate Israel also. Just because they're fighting Hamas does not mean that they are with Israel. They hate Israel also. Actually, the leader that she's talking about actually just got unalived today because of the rumors that he was working with Israel. Israel denied it and he denied it. And he got killed for it today, just for allegations. It was probably because of her why that dude got unalived. But nonetheless, Israel is now working with them. The main point is that, once again, she wants to the only radical Islamists she's willing to talk about are the ones that maybe she could connect to Israel and to America. She doesn't want to talk about real radical Islam. And that's the point of this video, is to deflect from the truth, to work, because she's working with her Turkey handlers, her Iranian handlers. So every time somebody speaks about radical Islam, no, let's talk about Israel instead. Let's make up lies. Let's go.
Netanyahu got caught doing it, so he had no choice but to concede, to confess that that's what's been going on. This is the group that's been looting Gaza's humanitarian aid. And then, of course, Israel will blame Hamas for doing it.
See, once again, she's lying. She's trying to blame what Hamas is doing on them. These people were actually the ones that was protecting the aid, and not the ones stealing it. But once again, she's over here making up lies. Bro, who listens to this person anymore? All these people do is fucking lie. I don't know how they have an audience.
Even though reporting in the New York Times clarified that it's not Hamas. And of course, Israel blamed Hamas for why they're carrying out a genocide, even though they're the ones who propped up the very group that they're now fear-mongering about. And if you don't know what I mean, let me take you to a video dating all the way back to 2009 featuring former Congressman Ron Paul.
If you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat. And you say, well, yeah, that was better then and served its purpose, but we didn't want Hamas to do this. So then we as Americans say, well, We have such a good system. We're going to impose this on the world. We're going to invade Iraq and teach people how to be Democrats. We want free elections. So we encourage the Palestinians to have a free election. They do, and they elect Hamas. So we first, indirectly and directly through Israel, help establish Hamas. Then we have election. Then Hamas becomes dominant, so we have to kill them. You know, it just doesn't make sense. During the 80s, you know, we were allied with Osama bin Laden, and we were contending with the Soviets. It was at that time our CIA thought it was good if we radicalized the Muslim world.
I know that there are variations in.
So before she goes into making up more lies, I just want to, you see, this is the lie that she made, right? She said that it was Israel that funded them and that created them, and then went on to bring up a video about Rand Paul saying that it was Israel that encouraged them, right? So there's a big difference. At that moment, right, like, just because Israel allowed them to fund, to collect money in the 80s when Hamas actually started, they were a non-profit organization. The fact that Israel allowed them to collect money to be a non-profit organization, for some reason to her, it's as if Israel has funded them. No, Israel just allowed them to get funds from other people to help out the Palestinian people. And if Israel didn't do that, what would you call it? You would say that Israel's apartheid, yada, yada. But now since Israel allowed them, nobody knew they were terrorists. They started off as a non-profit organization. Okay? And now she's trying to make up lies that Israel's the one that created them. We all know they're offshoot from Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. They were not created and funded by Israel.
You know, libertarian thought. And when it comes to their economic positions, I think that's where I have the deepest disagreements with them. But man, they tend to hit the mark perfectly when it comes to foreign policy. And Ron Paul was absolutely correct there. Now, I want to cue up the cold open because I want you to hear from Marco Rubio one more time before we get to our very last video, because I want you to remember what he has accused Muslims of doing. Take a look.
The notion that somehow radical Islam would be comfortable with simply controlling some province in Iraq or Syria is just not borne out by history. Radical Islam has shown that their desire is not simply to occupy one part of the world and be happy with their own little caliphate. They want to expand. It's revolutionary in its nature. It seeks to expand and control more territories and more people.
That's what.
Yup, exactly. And that's exactly, you know who Marco Rubio is talking about? Right? Her boss's country, right? She's talking about Turkey. Turkey has the ambition to expand their borders. Even today, Erdogan is talking about reclaiming the Ottoman Empire, the great Ottoman Empire it used to be. And they're the only ones, they have this ambition, and she's trying to hide her boss's ambitions, all blaming the shift on Israel and America.
Marco Rubio wants you to be very scared about. But what's actually happening right now in the Middle East? Why don't we take a little trip to the West Bank?
You see, once again, she goes and she takes radical Islam and tries to shift it on Israel. And this is pretty obvious, guys. These people, all they do is try to stand up for radical Islam. And as if there is no issue with radical Islam. There's plenty to say, right? There's much more to say than just their expanding ambitions. They're literally going around saying that America belongs to them now. They're going around saying Russia belongs to them, UK belongs to them, right? They think the whole world belongs to them. This is exactly why the Islamists, why isn't she talking about the Islamists in the Congo, where like literally they're all crying out saying, come and save us. These Islamists are literally unaliving us because we're Christians. It's only being Christians being unalived. She don't want to speak about that. She wants to focus on Israel, a fake border expansion that Israel never expanded into. She wants to talk about the radicalism of Israel, which it's not radical. Everything is a response of the radical Islamists. She wants to do everything, deflect, talk about anything besides getting to the meat of this issue. The Islamists in Iran, once again, Islamists, Congo, Islamists, Nigeria, Islamists, Sudan, Islamists. Where should we go? Like, these places have nothing to do with Israel, have nothing to do with America, but it has everything to do with radical Islamists. And she would rather do anything but talk about those real issues. She wants to blame Israel and America for everything. And you could tell, like, why make this video, Anna Casperian? Why? To shift from the truth, to speak about how you're angry about Marco Rubio speaking about radical Islam? It is. Let's talk about Turkey. You want to talk about radical Islamists, your country, the young Turks are from, which, you know, this woman should be ashamed of herself. Armenian, working for a fucking company, a Turkish company that is called the Young Turks, that G-sided her own people. Like, come on. You know, this is just satire. This shit is so funny. It's just beyond comprehension. Let's talk about how Turkey is the one that basically propped up Giuliani. Turkey is the one that is propping up all of these Hamas terrorists. Like, they're all, everyone knows Turkey is a hub for Schmerism right now. It's all being passed through Turkey. They all have free reign. You know, let's talk about that. Let's talk about real Islamic issues. And let's stop trying to blame Israel for everything, maybe for a change. So I think I'm going to keep this video short. I'm not going to go into other topics. I'm probably going to restart. If you could do me a favor, please, if you haven't already, tap the screen, like this video, and also please subscribe to my channel. It's a brand new channel. I'm trying to grow it, and I definitely could use your support. It's much appreciated. Let me go, before I end, let me go see if you guys wrote any comments, because during the video, not always focused on the comment section. Let me pull up YouTube, guys. Nope, no comments. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keep creating these videos, and I'm going to continue to expose all of these people and their lies. And just stay tuned. I'm about to make a video on Tucker Carlson and expose his biases, his bullshit. And I think it's very important for people to, you know, hear debunks of these stuff that these people say. They're all lying to you guys. That's all they do. And guess what? I'm going to check them. So I'm going to go on to make